Right. Everybody, we are not doing an intro song today. We're just going right to it. So let's just share it out. So Jose, as I share this with everybody on Facebook and Twitter to get some people interacting with us, what is going on with you? What are your reactions on the lineup as well as what we've seen so far from the Union?
I'm actually not that mad about the lineup, to be completely honest with you, Frank, rather. I'm okay with seeing Bueno. I'm okay with seeing Tai Baribo, though I think the one question that needs to be asked, and we'll see as the game progresses, right, is Quinn Sullivan now an outcast, right? Like, when's the last time we have really seen him? And to see Donovan get time and not Quinn, it's interesting, as well as someone as good as Jack McGlynn. So all in all, I think lineup wise, that's sort of where I'm standing, and ultimately, man, this surface really does a number on our team here in Philadelphia. It just completely, not that we're a possessive team, but it completely ruins any type of possession that we have as it is.
Well, we knew even from the Jim Curtin press conference that Charlotte was going to possess. That's typically what they do. We knew they were going to have to wait for the counterattacks and wait for those chances. Granted, we've had a couple chances. We've hit the post. Was it once? Baribo had a chance, almost skied over the keeper. We've had the opportunities there to score, but there's been a handful, maybe at least 6 or 7 I can think of, just off the top of my head. Several of them involving Jose Martinez, where the
Yeah.
turnovers are just so sloppy, and you wonder if maybe that is because of the turf. And actually, speaking of fun things to talk about, we got Todd Lewis joining us right now in 1 second. So I see he's just getting his microphone set, and we're gonna bring him on as our third party here. For the comments, we have Valerie saying,
Hi, Val.
"Turf stinks." Right, simple to the point. Love it. Pat, what's up, man? How you doing today? So as Todd waits to join us,
Listen,
I
Mike,
think yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I think, and I'm gonna just air it out and everybody watching, whatever. But like, if Charlotte was half a competent team, we would be down 3-0 easily. If
That's
they were
fair.
half competent, honestly, because seeing was it the Moran chance, the Charlotte guy who wasn't expecting the ball, and probably honestly he's still even getting sort of like sort of used to playing on turf, having just been brought onto the team last couple of matches. It's to me, if Charlotte was half decent, not an 11th place team, if Charlotte was a better team, the Union, I truly do believe, would be down 3-0 in this game. And Todd, thank you so much for joining us. Opening statement from Todd Lewis on the first half.
Chris Donovan was good.
A back of the head header by accident.
Yeah,
No.
Go ahead, Todd.
My bad, Mike.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm not used to this, right? I mean, filling in for you, so it's like, man,
I know.
I think Dave and Jose and I had a good chemistry going, so now it's like, I got to get used to working with Mike. But
it took us 3 chances to have this conversation, Todd. Go ahead.
For sure. No, but like, if you look at the runs that Chris Donovan's making, and his hold-up play's actually been pretty decent. So
Yeah,
I've been pleasantly surprised with Chris Donovan in the first half. I mean, I think the game plan from Jim Curtin is, let's get to the 60th minute, not concede a goal, and then we're going to bring on Ua and Julian Kranz, and then we're going to go for it. Not saying that they're not going for it now, because, I mean, you saw them creating chances. 4 minutes in, they have, I forget whose header it was, went off the post.
Mm-hmm.
And
back of the head accidental header.
yeah. They've had chances. And the one area that I'm saying that the Union really aren't taking advantage of, and you saw Jesus Bueno, like, his hands up in the air. Like, there's a lot of space on the left-hand side of the field.
Thank you. We were talking about that on Twitter. I feel like Kai Wagner and Bueno have been very quiet today.
Bueno's just waving his arms the entire time.
Here,
like, guys, find me. I got pink boots.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just the way the Union are just trying to attack the Charlotte tonight, but it does feel like there's a lot of opportunity on the left-hand side that just isn't coming together. And, I mean, listen, Daniel's not exactly doing us any favors either. He's had about 3 or 4 turnovers as well. So I do think the turf's caused an issue. I mean, you saw Andre Blake with that turnover almost, into the net when he gets that pass back from Bueno. It just seems like they're uncomfortable, although they have settled down into the match a bit more. I do agree with you with Donovan, though. I feel like if he was just a bit of a better finisher, we would have maybe a goal by now, if not at least a few better touches. But, I mean, that's kind of what you want from your fourth striker, right, Todd? Just getting the job done when he's being asked for it.
Yeah, I mean, he had 3 shots in the first half, had 2 chances created. He's been the Union's best player. I mean, Andre Blake's come out with a couple.
God, I love you,
couple
Todd.
big
You got
saves.
you got the FOT mob brain running right now, right? You got the FOT mob running in your head right now.
I do, yeah. I do.
And there's Kyle.
Um,
Hey, Kyle, how you doing today?
What's up, Kyle? Shouldn't have invited Kyle to this, right?
I know he's under the weather, so I hope you feel better, Kyle. I didn't even know you were coming until 2 minutes ago.
Listen, I have probably an uncomfortable question that I think needs to be asked, and having watched the first 45 minutes, and I wanted to give some sort of like, and there's still another 45 minutes, so to be fair, there's still a lot of groundwork that can be made up, but I really don't know that Bedoya is a starter on this team anymore, right? I mean, I watched a couple of runs by their left back just going up the line, and Bedoya sort of trying to signal to Mbaizo, help me or push back or whatever, and just Bedoya being honestly left like a cone on the middle of the field, or I should say on the sideline of the field. So I'm having a hard time seeing how Bedoya fits as a starter. And, Todd, I know I've sort of talked about this with Mike in the past and just recently before the match started, or before we started streaming, but Quinn Sullivan, an outcast of this team as of late, right? What does he and what does Jack McGlynn have to do to start in games like these to get an opportunity, right? Especially when you're thinking about rotation and Jim's sort of foundation that he stands by of not changing more than 4 bodies at a time.
It was 5 tonight. I mean,
which is like, what the hell are we doing? Like, this is surprising.
Yeah. A little bit of a shock. I mean, especially the front too. I mean, I was not expecting Ty Baribo to get the start after Jim Curtin saying, "Yeah, he's not fit. He
must be fit now."
He must be, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit surprising. I mean, what does Quinn Sullivan have to do to get into this team? And one has to wonder, are his days numbered as a Philadelphia Union player? I had on my podcast afterwards, I had somebody message me and said, how can Quinn Sullivan get in as an 8? Where Jim Curtin told us, well, we had no midfielders on the bench after the game against Cincinnati, only Matt Real, and we all know he's a left back. But why can't Quinn Sullivan be one of those shuttlers? Like when you're pushing for a goal where you need somebody that's going to run around like crazy, win the ball back, exactly what Quinn Sullivan's going to do. So, I mean, maybe his days are numbered here in Philadelphia. I mean,
and it's not like he's looked bad in game time. I mean, look at the Nashville game. I think that was a perfect example. He even had that good cross to Jose Martinez for his goal at home right after the Nashville match. I do feel like Quinn is more suited for that midfield role. I think many people have said that already a couple times. And also just to the McGlynn point, last time we played LAFC at home, McGlynn did start on the left side of the diamond. So I don't know. I guess Jim is reserving him for that game on Saturday.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I mean, I knew we would get Bizo in over Nate because we haven't seen Bizo in a couple games now. Jack McGlynn's played the last 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, it made sense why Jack wasn't playing in this game. You're saving him for LAFC. Let's just hope that he isn't played on the right-hand side like he was in the final.
And I'll hold you to this, Todd. I'm willing to bet a beer, bet whatever, a Chipotle meal or something. But I guarantee you that A, McGlynn does not start on Saturday, and B, I guarantee he sees no more than 30 minutes.
Wow.
Really?
So who starts?
I don't know. I have a hard time seeing Jim putting McGlynn against LAFC.
Do you think they're going to go 3 in the back again? Is that what you're suggesting that?
Perhaps, honestly. I have no idea. I honestly think I've given up.
Well, if they do, they're getting blown out like they did in away in LAFC and
wouldn't that be the
Champions Cup?
Wouldn't that be the curtain way against LAFC, right?
I mean, yeah, overthink the lineup and then look embarrassed. And then Kyle says Jack starts. Listen, I think he does too on Saturday, considering what we saw last time. Okay, so we have, again, overall, the result is what you'd hope for on the road. 0-0. The Union didn't give up an early goal on the road. They held on, and they did settle into the match a bit more in the last 20, 50, 30 minutes or so, give or take. So, Todd, what's the optimism for you in the second half, and what are the subs you're looking for in the second half?
Well, I think we all agree. Julian Kranza, Mikael Uhua, around 60-65. I don't think I heard Jose before you guys brought me in saying, "Oh, the Union should be down 3-0 if this was a team that wasn't Charlotte." I don't think 3-0. Maybe a goal. But I mean, Charlotte's not a good team, right? And so I mean, that's probably playing in the Union's favor. But I think this is huge. Just going into the half 0-0, because now Jim doesn't have to change up his tactics. His team talk doesn't have to change. It's like, okay, yeah, he'll probably say in his press conference after the game that, yeah, that was our objective, get into the half without conceding a goal. You've done that. The longer this goal goes, Charlotte's going to get desperate because they're fighting to get into
They
the
have to go
playoffs.
for it.
And so they're going to have to push players forward. And that's exactly what the Union want, because then they're going to hit them on the counterattack. So the longer this goes 0-0, I think we're going to see a lot more chances for the Union in the second half.
And if you want to scoreboard watch a little bit, Atlanta's currently beating DC United 1-0. That game is pretty important for Charlotte. You see DC, falling or trailing early. You want to take advantage of that. They're going to go for the win here for sure. Jose, how about you? Any additional subs you're thinking, or any formation shift you're thinking for the second half?
I don't know about formation, but as I look at, I think Ty will finally get to play 90. I think you just leave him in and see what happens. And if there is a sub, I think it would be Donovan for Carranza. Try to really squeeze that lemon before we get, offload him in December, after December 9th, hopefully. Bedoya comes out, and I wouldn't be surprised. What's that?
For who, though?
McGlynn.
Probably Jack McGlynn, honestly.
Thanks.
Put Bueno to the right.
Yeah. Just do a swap there. And I don't know. Depending on the score line, if we're ahead, maybe, but I don't
Miami
know
just
how.
scored.
Who did?
Miami.
Yeah, 1-0 at the half.
Come on, I was hoping for Toronto to do one of those funny things, right? Just completely ruining their playoff chances. But finally, I don't know how close he actually is to 100%, but Martinez is looking a little off, and sure, some of it could be the surface, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's a lingering something going on that
his back, right?
Yeah, maybe Martinez comes off at half, not at half, at some point during the second half, I should say. So we'll see, man. It'll be interesting.
Well, Jose, Jim had mentioned at the presser, Jose does have a fresh set of legs. He only played about 55, 60 minutes on Saturday. So I envision him going the full match, but again, it does depend on his back. And Jose's also played a ton, so we do need to give him some rest. If you're at least up a goal, try to save as much of Martinez as you possibly can.
Especially with LAFC, that's a Martinez game written all over it, right?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. You need to have your best players available, and if you somehow risk an injury, then that's just going to make it much harder. In terms of the one of the comments we have from Kyle, he says Ua and Ty together. I also agree. I feel like that'd be kind of a lot of muscle up top. I kind of want to see that, just to go that. What do you think, Kyle or Todd? Do you think Ua and Ty would work well together out there today?
I don't know what the right partnership is with Ty. Who do you pair him with? So, I mean, I guess this is the game where you try that out, you see. But you know what's going to happen, right? He'll put on Julian Kranz and Mikel Ua. 5-10 minutes later, then Ty's coming off for the other striker. So you're not really going to get a true look and see who he pairs best with.
Yeah, Valerie's joke says, I was glad to see Jose take on the turf rather than a human. He did hit the turf a handful of times, and that's been a big topic so far this past week and a half, especially after Aaron Rodgers' injury. When is this turf finally going to get removed? Jose, you heard in the press conference how he's even suggested about the rubber causing health concerns for the players. Todd, do you know anything about that too? But the turf causing health concerns?
I actually looked it up. I did find the article that he was referring to in Holland, indeed being something that's being looked at. I don't know that if it was officially banned. I also don't know how the law system in Holland works. Obviously, it's very different in the United States than it is in most countries across this planet. So, yeah, it's interesting. I do wonder, and just after chatting with the Charlotte guys, Matt Swift specifically, midweek, just. What a shame that stadium had grass prior to the team joining, being part of the MLS. So what was Mr. Tepper thinking, owner of the what is it, the Panthers? That's the NFL team.
I can tell you what he's thinking. He wants to play soccer. He wants to play football. He wants to have concerts. You know what? You're going to be replacing that grass multiple times during the season when you want to host all that stuff. So you know what? You don't have to really maintain turf.
Cheapest way. Yeah. So it's disappointing, right? The I hate to say the integrity or I guess integrity is right. The integrity of the game, because you think about, the Mickey Mouse fields across this league. And I would argue that they're all the turf fields plus NYCFC with having to throw grass on top of dirt right on that baseball field of there. So it's interesting. It's sad, but listen, let's see. In high school and in college, I was used to, if we had an opponent that would play on grass, we would go practice on grass. If we had an opponent that would play on turf, we would practice on turf. Obviously, that's very different at the professional level. You don't want to throw bodies on top of turf unless you absolutely have to. But you like to think that maybe that was a thought in some way, shape, or form, right? Like the speed of play, the bounciness, and everything. And we're very fortunate this game's not in the middle of July, August, when it's 100 degrees out in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the feet of these guys is just through the roof in terms of temperature. So I don't know. We'll see what happens the second half. I think we're about to restart. So maybe
right,
this is a huge time to say thank you to everybody who watched.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Todd, for jumping on last minute. I know I hit you up very last minute.
Took us long enough, Todd. I mean, my gosh. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Let's go Union. Second half starts now, 0-0. Have a good night, everybody.